Welcome into the College Sportsbook. I'm Jeff Cameron. He's Tom Lang, and we're going to talk a little bit about new feature here, how to bet the state of Florida. And why are we doing that? Well, thank goodness gracious. No more workarounds, Tom Lang. No more hiding in the shadows, trying to tell somebody that you really like Florida State this weekend, or, hey, I think UCF's a good play this weekend. No. Now you do it right out in the open, and it's a beautiful thing. We welcome you, Hard Rock Sportsbook. It is, you can download the app right now, everybody. I got it right here. Boom, making bets as we speak. Perfectly legal. Let's do this thing. You'll see it each week. Now, we're getting into this a little bit late because obviously this just became possible last week. And so we've jumped on board now. I know we'll throw this up on warchant.com, have an opportunity. We'll look throughout the state for the bigger games. And if by chance there's a bigger game with another team in the state, say USF is actually playing in a game that matters for once, we'll preview those kinds of games too. It won't happen this year, not for USF anyhow. But there you see the graphic. There you see Florida State and Florida and UCF and the University of Miami, who's on one hell of a heater right now. We'll get to them too. So it's interesting and it's fun. And we wanted to look at the state separate on the College Sports Book here, because now you can do something about it. You can have some fun with it, and you can look to wager in these games on the College Sportsbook, but I should say on the Hard Rock app, which is really, again, this is a thing of beauty. I'm looking at it right here on my phone, and I've got 2 games tomorrow. 3 games early tomorrow, Tom. So right off the bat, we're good to go.
I think this is going to be our new favorite color, buddy. This little shade of purple. This
the Hard Rock Sportsbook app is that purple as well. Yes.
Yeah, it made to the first swipeable area of my phone with all my apps. I promise you. You know, my dumb ass. Can I say that on the College Sportsbook? Am I allowed to say that word?
You can. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, what it did this week when I was signing up for it, and it's a really easy process. The whole thing about the app is, I mean, it's convenient as hell. They did a good job of scouting what they needed. I put my social in the last 4 digits, the wrong order. And so I had to deal with customer service last night to verify who I was, that I wasn't trying to skim off the top of somebody else's social. And it couldn't have been easier. It couldn't have been easier. So I'm all set now. I've tested their customer service, even though I did not want to do so. And this color, like I said, is just hopefully this purple leads to green, but that's why we're here at the College Sportsbook, I suppose.
Yeah, I think we'll get right to it. Let's start with the University of Florida, where it is a really strange time. You can see the numbers. The University of Florida is favored by 17.5 over a bad South Carolina team. I'm going to say this in big picture focus, Tom. I run for the hills when I see Florida's name pop up with an opportunity to bet for or against them. I don't know who and what they are other than wildly inconsistent and seemingly in disarray off the field. I know that every advanced metric tells me that Florida's really good. Like if you look at because obviously a lot of their record, if you'd have to say, is skewed by the fact they've played both Georgia and Alabama. That's tough. And that'll skew your numbers a little bit too. But, when you look at their success rate and you look at what they do on the whole, you would just believe if empirically you looked at the numbers that Florida was an elite team. But of course, we know they're not an elite team. And we also know Dan Mullen is fond of saying really dumb things on the regular. That almost sounds like he's trying to get fired. So I don't know if they care to be there. And I don't like to bet teams if I don't think they're excited about playing football. Now, I could be wrong. Florida could absolutely be excited to play South Carolina this weekend. And if that were the case, they'll stomp South Carolina by more than that 17.5 points. But when you can't trust a team to show up, you really can't possibly wager on them with any degree of certainty. So my advice here, if we're just looking at that number and talking about this game, I'm avoiding the matchup. South Carolina's offense is dreadful. They're not great on defense either. Florida should win the game. But I'm going to run. I'm not going to play this on my card. I'm leaving this game alone would be my advice.
Yeah, if you're a Gator fan out there or even a South Carolina fan who lives in the state of Florida, this app, the Hard Rock Sportsbook app, offers live wagering. So I would look at that, see how Florida starts. It's more than just the first play that's scripted, or the first drive that's scripted, rather. First 10 to 15 plays. Even if Florida goes down and it's effortless and it's a touchdown, wait till about the middle to the end of the first quarter to see if there's true investment. This is an insight that we can offer from afar, buddy. A lot of the things that are going on in Gainesville right now mirror the things that were happening in Tallahassee in 2017. And what did that Florida State team do? Even as far back as 2016, where they had some serious issues and the signs were starting to show in Tallahassee. Unexpected results happen. So if you're going to bet this at all, live bet it, but I agree with you. I'd stay the hell away.
That's a good call. Yeah, live betting is the way to go there. If you're uncertain about which team's going to show up or if there's a matchup that you're uncertain of, the app has it, as Tom just noted. And even though we don't work for Hard Rock Sportsbook, although we could, I do like noting that they allow for that. And a lot of other things too. First quarter betting, first half betting, team totals, you name it. You get a feel for a game as it goes on. In fact, late in the year, your great value is live betting because Vegas and everybody else does a very good job of figuring teams out as the season goes along. And the margins get smaller and smaller and smaller. And they're already really accurate, but they get really accurate the later you go in the year. The time to take advantage, I think, typically is the first 6 games of the college football season. Jump on board early, especially if you've got a good read on a team, because either you live in that region, maybe you attended that school and you follow and read everything about them. If you've got a real clue about a team or a handful of teams, you can jump on them early in a season before Vegas goes, oh, we had it wrong. And before the sharps come in and figure things out as well. All right, next I kind of want to make a move to what I think is the least interesting game of the weekend, and that's UCF minus 13 points with the total at 59.5 against Tulane. Green Wave did come off a win recently, kind of surprisingly. That's not a good football team, but they perhaps are feeling better about themselves. And then again, so is UCF, who really won comfortably. They're 5-3 on the year, 2-game win streak. They won 49-7 last week against Temple. Threw for 230 yards and 5 touchdowns is Michael Keene. Mikey Keene. So I would tell you that it's probably Mickey. Shows you I don't watch a lot of UCF guys. It's not a fun team. He spells his name wrong. But anyhow, I would take UCF if I had to play the game. I'm clearly not playing the game. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not touching this game. But I would probably take the over. As Tulane will give it up and UCF can score a little bit. So I would probably take the over here.
Yeah, to me, if you're looking for Tulane, I understand what happened early in the season. But if you're looking to play Tulane at any point, play them when they're at home. Weird stuff happens on Thursday nights and Friday nights when Tulane plays in the Dome, especially first half numbers. Like there's a lot of times in the last 5 years, sometimes they went outright. There's a lot of times when you're circling around all of your sports channels, you're watching some hockey, NBA, whatever. It's like, oh, yeah, Tulane's playing. Oh, my God, they're within 3. How is that possible? Typically, those games are played in the Dome out of New Orleans. This is not. This is being played in Orlando. It's going to be soupy. That would be the only concern I have for the team total. It's like it's up here in Tallahassee right now as we're recording. A lot of rain on Friday into Saturday for the whole state of Florida. So that might affect it a little bit. But, Gus wants as many possessions as possible. So if you're going to take a side, I would take the UCF side. But I agree with you. This is 2 bad football teams. And, again, motivations might be a play here as well.
Yeah, motivations are right. And UCF just empirically is a better football team than Tulane. So when in doubt, if you have to lean aside there and you can get it less than 2 touchdowns, I would do it. I would always, take a look around. But if you're going to use the Hard Rock Sportsbook, that's what you got right there. So I would take UCF. All right, you want to go Florida State, NC State, which is a really good game, or do you want to go a hot Miami team right now who's really found something at the quarterback position against Georgia Tech?
Oh, let's go down to Miami. Why not? We'll save the next one.
Well, this is impressive what Miami's done. If you just looked at the record, you'd say, okay, well, they're not a great team. The season's gone awry. They're, all of that stuff. But when you look at what they've done in back-to-back wins, top 20 wins at that time, you're talking about 753 passing yards and 7 touchdowns. They are doing some things. And that 38-34 win that they got against Pitt, they were a 9.5-point road underdog there. Those were 2 late touchdowns for Pitt that could have made that Miami team, who doesn't feel like it has a lot to play for, at least at the time, kind of begin to back down. But they didn't. And Van Dyke has just been a godsend for this team. They score late in the third quarter. It turns out to be the game-winning score. He threw for 426 yards in this game, 3 touchdowns to 1 interception. So it seems real because he's now backed up that performance. They didn't give up a ton of yards on the ground, only 68 yards to Pitt on the ground. So I'm kind of impressed with what we're seeing from this Miami team right now. I'm not impressed with what I see from Georgia Tech, who lost to Virginia Tech.
Yeah, to me, the trends here all favor Miami heavily, and that's why it's more than 10 points. What's going on with Miami is across the board, it's not just the passing offense. The whole team has really been brought to life by what they see as a competent offensive game plan week in and week out. Go figure, right? It looked like they were dead and buried. When you're looking at Georgia Tech defensively speaking, they don't cover well. Well, that's a bad mix right there if you're talking about any hopes for an outright win, if you're playing the money line, or anything really under 14 points in my mind. You can tell where I'm leaning here. But if Georgia Tech doesn't cover well, Miami can sling it. Also, Georgia Tech, the best thing they do is run the football. Miami's run defense has been steadily better the last 2 weeks. Again, I think that's that total team investment coming together. They played okay against NC State against the run. They did well against Pitt, stopping the run. Georgia Tech is a run-first offense. Maybe the team total here is something you like because that could be more of a climate controlled environment. They got just that little hole in the stadium there. But for me, I think this is, you go with the hot hand. Miami is invested. This is a November for once where it seems like Miami is trending upward. Usually it's the exact opposite. And they do things well that Georgia Tech can't stop. So, Georgia Tech's going to have to come along for the ride. I don't know that they're good enough to, so I would lean Miami on this pick.
Georgia Tech outgained by a number of 491 to 366 in that game against Virginia Tech. And you've got teams moving in opposite directions. Ordinarily, I would take Georgia Tech here on a double-digit gift because they've covered, I think, the last 3 straight against Miami, including winning a couple outright. But I just don't see it right now. I see Miami emboldened. I see them playing good football and believing. And I see Georgia Tech going the other way. So I'm with you. If I have to play it, I'm going to lay the 11 points there. Anything under 2 touchdowns I felt comfortable with. That's how my numbers bear. I was looking at that at the beginning of the week, and I had Miami at around a 13.5 to 14-point favorite. So when I saw that I only had to give 11, okay, I'll give 11 if I have to do it. All right, we go to Florida State and NC State, which is, to me, the most interesting game in the state this weekend, not solely because we covered Florida State, obviously, but the Noles played fairly well in that they gave themselves an opportunity on the road against a better roster by far in Clemson. My fear is, though, Tom, that mentally and physically, where are they at as they host an NC State team that just does not make a lot of mistakes? And I think you and I are concerned that if you're rooting for Florida State or you want to take Florida State here, that there have been some rumors out of Tallahassee this week that a lot of guys were under the weather, some sort of flu bug going around. We don't know who, but it is said that several players may have missed practices, plural. So maybe they're right by game time, but if you're just filing away the information, you really worry about a team who's got pivotal figures, key players, and already a lack of depth, missing time due to a flu bug coming off the most physical game of the year. So for me, it's hard to really safely say that I like Florida State at home. Now, I will say if I wanted to make that bet, it would be the right time because NC State is a different team on the road than they are at home. They have not been great on the road, and Florida State's been good at home. So, you would like to think that the mental and the overall toughness of this Florida State team has changed greatly under Mike Norvell this year. They seem to rise up even after bitter disappointments, is my point. Maybe you'd want to be inclined to believe they're going to show up here and it'll be a hard-fought game right to the end. Certainly Vegas thinks so, or the Hard Rock Sportsbook does when you look at these numbers. But I'm going to lean towards NC State here. I don't know that Florida State gets all the way back up and is able to match the physical and mental intensity necessary to win a close game like this.
Yeah, I like the value at 2.5 here. I know it's a little bit extra. All the bets that we've shown you on the line have been -110, the standard. This is -115. You got to pay a little bit extra to get that insurance against the field goal push. The flu bug is not just something that's around the team right now, and it has been termed the flu bug. There are, intra-university memos, I guess I should say, distributed around campus for the employees of Florida State saying to professors, don't ask your students to go to Thagard, which is the local clinic, to go get excuses for absences. We're overwhelmed. We've got too many people. We're running out of room. We're running out of stuff, Tamiflu, stuff to give the kids. This is a problem that I don't think can be contained from a Tuesday or a Wednesday practice in which Mike Norvell admits that there's a bug going around the team. This is still something that's present on campus all the way through kickoff. The weather here is not helping either. It's cold, dreary, and damp. This has got to impact Florida State to some degree. I think mentally they're going to be there and be prepared for this game, but physically you just don't know. And when you've got this thin of a roster going against a group that's pretty deep in the trenches for NC State, even though they've suffered some injuries of late, if you're going to go one way or the other on a field goal, you go with the visiting team in this particular circumstance.
And Devin Leary is a good quarterback. I don't think you can ever overlook that when you're trying to talk about a closely matched game or a narrow split or number when you're looking at the spread. You immediately look at the two quarterbacks, or you look at the guy who's been the most consistent, the guy who plays consistently well no matter the situation. And Leary's been that guy. He has not had that game where you go, what in the world was that? Now, NC State as a team has had that game, but Leary hasn't. He's not a guy that's he's not gone out there and had one of those clunkers where he throws 4 picks or something like that. In fact, his touchdown interception ratio is one of the best in the country. So
it's 21-2. His 2 interceptions. One came against USF in a laugher opening week. The second came on the final offensive play for NC State on the road at Mississippi State in desperation on 4th and long. Since then, 211 consecutive dropbacks and passing attempts without a pick. So the problem for Florida State here is, Bam Knight and that running game person as well for NC State. They haven't done so much in the last couple of weeks, which is something that we associate with NC State. They will stick to the run. But if you're looking at Florida State and ranking weaknesses, it's not the run defense. They can stop the run. But if Devin Leary can continue to perform like he is lately, the whole damn season, then that's a really tough ask for the Florida State defense.
Yeah, I'm inclined to take NC State here, but I will say this. If you're on the Noles, it's because you believe the run defense will immediately make NC State one-dimensional. They won't run the ball yet again this week, and that is becoming a problem for them. And if all of a sudden that remains a problem for them, Florida State does seem to have found something on the back end. Now, I worry about their linebackers all day long, but they do find a consistency now in that back end with some guys settling in on a few guys. Maybe you somehow do create a turnover there because you make them one-dimensional, and all of a sudden the home crowd gets rocking a little bit, and these are kids that have played with a lot of effort all year long. So maybe, just maybe. Again, if I had to bet it, and that'll let you know that I'm not, I would take NC State here, though, and lay the 2.5 because, like Tom said, I think that's great value at -115. I've got NC State rated as a significantly better football team than Florida State, and if I only got to give 2.5, then that's what I'd do.
Yeah, final thoughts on this game. Again, it's going to be raining all day here in Tallahassee into tomorrow, so it might be a sloppy track. That might help Florida State, obviously. That leads to what one would think more of a ground and pound type game for both teams. The other thing I'd say is watch early if you want to live bet this game on your app. If Florida State has to commit more than just the 4 to try and create a pass rush, NC State has done a very good job this season of picking up the blitz. If you look at Devin Leary's numbers, when blitzed and not blitzed, they're about the same in terms of completion percentage. But when he's pressured, there's a difference between blitz and pressure. Blitzes don't always get home, right? The Bucs know that the past couple of weeks in the pros. His completion percentage drops from over 70 to under 45. It's unbelievable. So if Florida State can generate pressure with the front 4, live bet on the Noles, that might be a good recommendation. But if they got to bring extra bodies, it's advantage NC State all the way.
Fun game. Probably, as we said, the most interesting game of the weekend in the state of Florida, whether you root for Florida State or not. I just think it's a good football game. Hey, we'll be updating every week, Tom and myself, the games throughout the state. Now, of course, College Sportsbook looks at everything nationally. I do game previews as well. But Tom and I are going to specifically look at least this aspect of the College Sportsbook at the state of Florida, how to bet the state of Florida on the College Sportsbook, thanks to our friends at the Hard Rock Sportsbook, which now, folks, legal. Download the app, smile while doing it, and know that you had access to pure goodness if you want it. For Tom Lang, I'm Jeff Cameron. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and make sure you get the latest updates for every one of these videos that we produce. And ring the bell, whatever the kids say. Be good, everybody. Enjoy the football.